Hey, everybody. Come on in. Give y'all a few minutes. I know I'm competing with football. I don't care. Hey, 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 hey. Turn my light on a little brighter. This song is for you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, my little thing crooked, y'all. All right, peer perfect people. Listen, no judgment. Don't forget grace. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So that's a little fun song. I try to do a new song every week, and so this is "Perfect People" by the Walls Group. I love them. Love their mother. Alicia Walls was one of the first people that I used to sing with and do a lot of music with. Wonderful person, and Roger, wonderful musician, wonderful people. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the healing room. Again, I say, I know I'm competing with football, but I don't care because the Texans played yesterday and we lost. So I don't care. To the Titans of all people in the last quarter of the game, of all parts of the game. Anyway, those of you as you come in, go ahead and type in the chat where you're coming from, where you're watching from. Those of you that are watching the replay, type replay. I had a friend of mine, Wanda, was talking to me yesterday, and she said, "Girl, I thought you was live." No. Type replay so that I can know who's replay and who's watching it live. So we're gonna go ahead and delve into today. What are we talking about today in the healing room? We're talking about driving your destiny through dialogue. Type that in. Driving your destiny through dialogue. Driving your destiny through dialogue. Let me see if I can add this right quick. Driving your destiny through, and I know you're like, well, how does dialogue have anything to do with it? It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it because how you talk is a reflection of how you think. And how you think is what? Huh? I'm learning how to work this stuff. So listen, how you talk is a mirror of how you think. And how you think is who you be. So that's why dialogue is so important. What dialogue are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about the dialogue with other people. So I think you see I'm getting better every week. So the title is scrolling at the bottom. Somebody say thank you for growth. Thank you for growth. Come on and type as you come in. Let me switch to comments over here. Type as you come in. Say hi. Let me know where you are calling from. And again, I know I'm competing with football, but I don't care. Let's get into it. So I'm going to open up with a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right on into the topic. I've got my notes on my phone. So we're going to, and remember on these podcasts I'm doing, or on these lives, I'm teaching you affirmative prayer. Okay. Affirmative prayer is very different than supplicative prayer, the prayer that we do when we begging. We're not going to be begging here. We're going to be doing affirmative prayer where we pray the solution. Okay. So I'm going to open up with, God, we come recognizing you and your allness, recognizing you and your supremeness and your omnipresence and your omniscience. And then we identify as an expression of you. We identify as both the drop and the ocean. at the same time. We identify that we are made in your likeness and in your image, and therefore we have access to everything that you've given us at creation. We declare truth. We declare answers. We declare clarity. We declare understanding. And we declare that we can take the reins of our healing and partner with you, God, so that we can become the best versions of ourselves. We sit in gratitude. We sit in honor. We sit in humbleness. And we sit in understanding. And we release everything that we want as it is so. Hey, Angela. Oh, how are you? Oh, she just joined. It's one of my new community members. Super, super, super excited. Girl, Angela, I'm going to let y'all get through Thanksgiving. I'm going to put a Loom video up tomorrow telling y'all what's coming up because, honey, when December hit, we're doing our first 21-day healing sprint. And January, we'll be doing the next 21-day healing sprint. I got it all planned out, and I'm going to be releasing it this week. So, Angela, get ready. The rest of the ladies in the community, get ready because we are going to jumpstart this healing journey. Let's talk about driving your destiny through dialogue. Go ahead and share this. Text this out to some people. Let me go ahead and pull up my little notes. Now, it's interesting because in the Black church, I keep telling you, I speak from the Black church experience because I'm Black and I'm a pastor's daughter twice. My biological father was a pastor and my stepdad was a pastor. My mama had things for pastors. I don't know. And so I can only talk to you from my experience, and I'm Baptist, not Kojic, not Holiness, not Pentecostal, not AME, not CME, not none of them. Straight Southern Baptist. That's me. That's me. The most evangelical of them all. That's me. So, well, that's what I was raised. So I want to give you some practical examples of dialogue, and then I want to give you some biblical examples because I want you to understand the dialogue you have with other people is going to let you know first how well you're doing with the commandment. In the red writing, when the disciples asked Christ, what does he have to say about the 10 commandments? Christ said, narrow 10 commandments. He narrowed 634 laws that the Jews had created, the 10 commandments that Moses went on the mountain to get. Moses went on the mountain to talk to God and to get truth. And he came down with 10 truths that then morphed into 634 laws. Christ summed all of that up in 2 statements. Love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So your dialogue with your neighbor is going to tell us how much you love yourself and how much you love God. Because you wouldn't talk to yourself like a fool. You certainly wouldn't come before the presence and the power and the knowingness of God, sit in that knowingness and act a fool. So if you wouldn't act a fool with yourself and you wouldn't act a fool with the God presence or the God connection that you share, you certainly shouldn't be acting a fool with people. I'm going to test you today. Stick with me and I'm going to bless you. Now let's talk about this practical dialogue. Let me give you some examples. Common example, workplace stress between colleagues. Now, let me preface this by saying, I have had to get with some coworkers. I'm sure people watching this, you've had to get with some coworkers, and hopefully the person you were when you got with them is not the person you are today. Hopefully you've grown, but if not, I'm going to help you right here, right now. So before you send that email tomorrow, before you send that Teams message, before you come off of camera in the meeting, I want you to listen. I'm going to help you. So let's just say a manager senses tension from an employee who has been missing deadlines, or a coworker got something to say, or send an email and copy the whole world. Okay. The manager says, hey, I noticed you've been under a lot of pressure. Is there something specific I can help with? Employee says it's been overwhelming trying to balance this project and family commitments. Manager, here's a proper response. That make sense. Let's prioritize some tasks to lighten your load while ensuring you feel supported. Now, that is a proper dialogue. That dialogue can happen between manager and employee. That dialogue can also happen. How many people raise your hand if you have the work best friend? That's the dialogue that you and your work best friend need to have. Not, ooh, this bee get on my nerves, and girl, and I can't stand her. And you faking it, and then you're really so miserable. Don't do that. Don't do that. Find a way to do healthy dialogue. So that is an example of some healthy, practical dialogue. Let's look at family. Let's just say you're having a disagreement with a sister or sibling. I don't want to make it romantic because that's not my area of specialty. But let's just say, siblings, y'all are fussing about, you said you was going to do something for mama and you didn't come through with it, and I had to end up doing it. And it put me out off my schedule and put me out of pocket for about a couple $100. And so instead of coming to your siblings saying, you know what, you don't never do your part of the bargain. Every time I ask you to do something, you always got some slick shit to say. You always got something to do. You ain't never on time. Instead of having that dialogue, I'm going to challenge you to talk to your sibling like you would talk to yourself or like you would address God. I'm telling you, this is profound. It will literally change the way you treat other people. And you'll begin to treat other people the way you would treat yourself or the God presence in you. And then you'll begin to attract people that are much more like you. See, the reason why you're having these conflicts is because you're attracting people that are not your people, which is why I wanted to bring up a family example, because you can't pick your family. You were born into your family. Even if you was married, born or married, you didn't have nothing to do with the marriage or the birth. You just here. You just was the cousin or the sister of this fool, and she done married foo-foo. So now y'all are family. How do you have healthy dialogue? You always come from compassion and you come from understanding. Stop popping off, because when you pop off, you are precipitating, you are causing further decay. It's like having a decaying tooth and not going to the dentist. You are contributing to the death and decay that's happening in your mouth by not going to the dentist. By continuing to feed that drama, you are the problem. What does it say? You are the weakest link. Bye-bye. So change the way you think about dialogue. And every time you open your mouth, I want you to think about this. I want you to say, now, what would Jesus do? That's such a cliche that none of us know what Christ would do. We only know what he did in the Bible, but we don't know what he would do in 2024 because he's not here and we only have his example. So rather than trying to put things on the Christ that we have no knowledge of how he would, let's not say what would Jesus do. Let's say, how am I doing against the commandments that he left? How am I doing against love God? Love your neighbors as you love yourself. How is this dialogue mapping out these commandments? Because how does it say, how will we know that they're fruit of Christ, that they're disciples of Christ, and that they're children? How will they know? How do you know what a tree bears unless you look at its fruit? How can you tell a lemon tree from a watermelon patch, a peach tree from a pecan tree? How can you tell? You have to wait. Sometimes you can look at the leaves, but in most, the orange trees, the lemon trees, you have to wait until the fruit. And so I'm going to challenge you to come from the position of the fruit. What fruit do you want people to see you as? Do you want to be known as a cactus, a prickly plant that pisses everybody off? Or do you want to be known as a lemon, a vital part of cooking, life, and health? Because while it is acidic, the properties in a lemon can literally help you lose weight if you apply it correctly. Or do you want to be known as a peach, something sweet, seasonal, but it's still sweet in its fruit? Or do you want to be known as a strawberry? Or just a little bitter, but a little sweet? Or do you want to be known as a cactus or a kiwi that's just flat out nasty, or avocado? Depending on, what you like. So how are people going to view you, and how are you going to feel after the dialogue? Now, let's talk about the Bible, because this is what I really want to get to. So I've given you some practical examples. Family, friends, always think from, is this honoring God? And is this honoring myself? If I was in a conversation with God, if that power and presence was in front of me, would I be popping off? No, you wouldn't. And do I pop off at myself? Do I disrespect myself, loathe myself to the point where I'm going to talk stupid to myself? No. Well, then don't give that. Don't put that energy out. Let's look at the Bible. This is going to be good. Y'all get y'all phones out. We're going to Samuel. We're going to talk about my favorite man, David. Oh yeah. Oh, but we're not gonna talk about, the fun stuff. We're gonna talk about Nathan. Now, my son's middle name is Nathaniel. His first name is Zamar because that means praise, because I'm a praise and worship singer. But his middle name, I always wanted my son to be somebody. And so I put it in his name that if for whatever reason Zamar, the high praise name, doesn't get him in the seat of Joseph or whatever, that middle name is going to ensure it, because Nathan was the voice of reason when David had Uriah killed and stole Bathsheba and had that baby. See, this is where it gets drama, and this is where it gets juicy. This is why y'all need to read y'all whole Bible, not just the pieces that they say in the pulpit. Read the whole Bible so you can get the whole drama and the whole story. Baby, ain't nothing new under the SUN. The only thing is different is we have TVs and reality shows, but this stuff been going on forever. Let's go to 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 13. Thank you so much. 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 13. Let's lay it out. The emotional difficulty is David is in denial. Here we are, about the gravity of his sin with Bathsheba and its consequences. See, the sin is just a mistake. Okay, let's clear that up. Sin is just a mistake. Yeah, Nathan said the man is you. Sin is just a mistake. It's missing the mark. It's anything that's outside of the I am. That's all sin is. Okay, sin is not the behavior. Sin is the thought. Sin is the belief system. That's what sin is. It's a condition. Okay, it's a condition. So, and then the consequences of sin is what we live out. So the consequences, baby died. Consequences, you murder. Consequences of our sin. So here we go. We're going to paraphrase. I'm not reading all that because my throat is dry. So Nathan says there were two men in a certain town. He gives them a parable. One rich and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb that he bought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man. This is important. He took the lamb that he nurtured, come here, wife, and prepared it for the one who had come to him. David burned with anger against the man, saying to Nathan, as surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die. He must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity. There is a saying that says, be careful that you point the finger, or you cast whatever it is, you put darts in other people and you can't see the sty in your own eye. Be careful that you can't see the forest for the trees, because this parable is him stealing Bathsheba. Bathsheba was Uriah's wife. He had nurtured their relationship, and that's what he did. And so in his parable, the man needed to be died with no pity, because David did it with no pity. Because what you have to understand is David was a king. David was a king, and I don't know why we forget how David got Abigail. I don't know why we forget how David got all of his previous wives before he got Bathsheba. We think that David was just, he didn't do no wrong. He just sung songs on that harp. No, David was ruthless. What the song said, Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed his what? His tens of thousands. David was ruthless. David was a killer. You understand what I'm saying? So he had no pity when he killed that man and took that woman. Oh, yes, this is y'all's precious David. And here come Nathan. Nathan said to David, you are the man. You are the man. You are the man that needs to be dead. This is what the Lord of God Israel says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave you your master's house to you, and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you all of Israel and Judah, and if all this has been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with a sword. Yes, you did. You said, make sure he go on the infantry that's going to be in the front. Don't put him in the infantry in the back. Put him in the people that's going to go in the front. So he can catch them darts. So he can catch some arrows that's coming straight out. Oh, yes, you did. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. And here's David's response. And then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Hear me now. When you have the right dialogue, the person can come to you and you can hear them. But more importantly, you can see your error, your mistake, where you veered off, and it becomes a repentance and a remorse and a sorrow unto God. Why is it unto God? Because your purpose has been thwarted. Your witness has been weakened. Somebody ought to type that in. When you veer off course, your witness is weakened, and then you are just out of connection with the source. Because you can't say with one voice that God is yea and amen and that God is love, then say I'm made in the likeness and image of God, which is love, and then be over here acting a donkey. Do you see how distorted that is? And so you over here, can't nobody tell you nothing. You out here ravaging people. You out here breaking up relationships. You out here cussing people out, popping out, acting a fool. You out here doing all of this stuff you're doing. Whether known or involuntary or voluntary, it don't matter. You out here and you're not living according to that which you say you are and that which you say you believe. So if you are in the likeness and image of God, if you are in a healthy marriage, if you are a healthy family person, if you are a great coworker, if you are a great boss, if you are a great best friend, if you are a great sorority, fraternity, all those titles that we wear, if you are that, then why can't nobody tell you nothing? And why does your dialogue not match what you say you are? Your destiny is determined not only by your direction, it is your dialogue. What are you saying? What are you hearing? Who's talking to you? Where are your friends? And where are the people that are going to hold you accountable? Everybody needs a Nathan in their life. Type that in. Somebody. Shanita. Hey, Shanita, he was ruthless. Tanya. Hey, Angela, if y'all still on. If anybody's still on, even if you with the replay, I want you to type this out. Everybody needs a Nathan in their lives. A friend that's going to tell you what the Lord said. A friend that's going to tell you what God said. A friend that's going to tell you the truth. In my world, that would be called a conscience friend. A friend that's going to bring universal law, a friend that's going to bring God principles to the table and say, okay, now, Stephanie, if you say that this is a universal law, that there's a universal law of cause and effect, and you live by cause and effect, you have to understand that you caused this effect. So I need a friend that's going to come to me like that, not coming to me about what they heard about what they bootleg preacher then shouted over the pulpit after he done chugged some Hennessy in the back. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear what Reverend Poo Poo's talking about. Come to me with God principles. Okay, well, Stephanie, now you say that you believe X, Y, and Z. Here's the principle in the word. Where are you lined up with that principle? That's all Nathan did. Nathan went to David and said, I'm going to tell you a story. I want to see how you feel about this story. And when he got the answer, and then he hit him with the truth. You the man. You done took that man's wife, killed this man, and now here we are. And you think that because you after God's own heart and because you a king, that we just gonna slide it by. The devil, no, we're not. You gonna have to answer for that. King, no king. Man after God's own heart or nothing, because the universal law of God is cause and effect. You can't, if you sow a seed of contention, you're going to reap a harvest of chaos. That is a universal principle, people. That's why dialogue is so important, because dialogue reveals what you're thinking, and your thinking reveals how you're living. That's why the dialogue is so important. And you're wondering why the dialogue you're having with other people is also a mirror of the dialogue you're having with yourself. Do you understand how many layers this is? So you popping off at people, and then you popping off at yourself. So you're just disorganized and you're dismantled. And dare I say, diseased. We think that disease is just, venereal disease or STD or something, because we just so vile. But anything that is diseased, it's not an ease and grace. It's opposed to that. And when you popping off and living different than what you're saying and how you're feeling, and you got to be 4 different people. You somebody different at work. You show up different at church. You show up different in your family. We don't know who the hell we gonna get. Is we gonna get Keisha today, or is Kim here? Because we don't know. We got to see what kind of hairstyle you gonna show up with, so we can know who's gonna be here today. Because you 25 people in one body. Come on, somebody. I'm trying to teach you how to be one person. And see, one thing, somebody told me this the other day, and I came home and I got on my knees and I thanked God that I had the courage to really stop giving a damn what people thought about me. And one of the ladies said, I know you because it doesn't matter where I see you, you are on the floor with a line dance somewhere. And if you're not line dancing, you're somewhere in a corner smoking your hookah, not bothering nobody, drinking your little margarita. Now, do you see how that is? I'm going to make my shirt, y'all, in 25. I cuss, smoke, and drink. I have a limit on how I cuss, though, but I do cuss because, see, we cuss privately. So I'm going to do it publicly because I'm going to be one Stephanie all the time. Do you know how much courage and freedom that takes to be able to do that? Do you know how I will sit up in Papa Do's, honey, and them preachers, I be seeing them sitting over there, and I walk over there with my phone. And, you got to put your phone down. I say, no, you got to put your phone down. I ain't got to put down shit. I don't have to put down nothing. My pastor right over there, and he got a yak. He got Hennessy. And First Lady drinking the same thing I'm drinking. Yeah, because we real people in our ministry, because we understand moderation. And what we're not going to be is double-minded. And I'm telling you, why did I tell you all that? Because I'm free in who I am. That means I'm free in my dialogue. So that means that if I say something to you on the street, I'll say the same thing to you in the church. I'll say the same thing to you after a sorority meeting. I'll say the same thing to you. It doesn't matter. My dialogue is indicative of my belief system. And when you're in uncomfortable situations, you'll experience what I experienced last month, which was burnout. And then you'll show up irritated, popping off at people, doing all this other stuff, unhealthy. You're mad, miserable. That's because you're not in an environment where you're truly being yourself. That's because you robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's because you're taking something that's not yours. You're operating out of envy, jealousy, all of these other things that lie underneath. Yeah, that lie underneath. And then you show up to work and church and everybody, and somebody say, how you doing? And you snapping at people, and they like, well, what the hell is wrong with her? What is wrong with her? I didn't sleep with you last night, girl. I'm from the South, for real, y'all. You walking in and won't speak to nobody. I know she saw us all sitting on this couch, and then she gonna walk her beady out ass in here and ain't gonna say nothing about it. See, that's what we saying. See, I'm trying to tell you how to cut all that out. And if you just the dialogue in your head and the dialogue with other people, that is how you drive your destiny. You partner with your direction, and then you watch that dialogue and watch. If you, before you open your mouth, open your email, open your text, if you ask yourself this question, I promise you this will change your life. Okay, now is what I'm about to say, what I say it, if God was sitting across from me. If whatever I believe to be God was sitting across from me, would I say what I'm about to say? And would I say it the way that I'm about to say it? If the answer is no, don't say it. If you took you out of your body and said, okay, imagine me sitting across from me, would I really say this to myself, like out loud? And if the answer is no, don't say it, dear heart. Don't say it. Don't say it. You have to treat your dialogue as if it is a part of you, because it is. It is an extension of you. And so when you get in those David situations, when you get in those real life situations, for those of you that are just joining, go back. I gave you practical examples first, and then we spent some time on David and Bathsheba, talking about how Nathan came and corrected him. And David took the correction. David was the king, and he took direction from Nathan, from his friend. He didn't sit in the piety of his title. He knew that he had wronged God, the source, the reason why he was the king. He had angered, or he had agitated that power and that source. Had nothing to do with Nathan. And that's another thing you have to be able to quit shooting the messengers. Quit shooting the message. We're just telling you what God told us. Don't be mad at us. Don't be mad at us. We didn't snatch nobody away and kill nobody's husband. We didn't do that. You did that. Don't be mad at me. If I'm coming and you've given me the permission to hold you accountable. And that's another thing we don't do. We don't give people permission to hold us accountable. You want to know why? Because we don't want nobody to tell us nothing. We don't want to be corrected. We just want to do whatever we want to do, and then find a scripture in the Bible that's going to support what we want to do. And that's how we live our life. Until you meet somebody like me that's going to challenge that and hopefully help you have a different perspective so you can have a different life. So that's the lesson tonight. Driving your destiny through your dialogue. And before you open your mouth, or before you pop off at somebody because they've told you something, if God, or what I believe to be God, was sitting across from me when I say this, and if I took a mirror and sat myself across, would I say this to myself? It's going to tell you a lot about how you feel about you. It's going to tell you a lot about how you feel about whoever you believe God to be. It's going to tell you a lot about how you feel about other people. You're going to learn so many things about you. And let me preface you, some of them may be ugly. Some of them may be things that you didn't know. But the beauty and healing is that once you know the truth, now we can begin to solution for how you want to see yourself. But before you can change, evolve, grow, transform, any kind of way you want to rebirth, regenerate, any kind of synonym you want to put on changing or evolving into the better you got to see you. You have to confront your reality. You have to see that. Because the only way you're going to be able to heal that is to see that. And your dialogue will help you to see that. I hope this has been helpful. I was so excited to teach y'all this. I've been coming off of meeting after meeting after meeting. I'm so embarrassed. Y'all lucky I got makeup on, honey. This is my sleep shirt. I had this on all day. I just put this little shawl on. I said, well, let me just put something on, Jesus, so they don't see I'm just coming looking like I'm coming from the beach. Today's soul action. I pulled this card like 2 minutes before I went live. Where am I called to use my voice right now? You have a soul script that was written to be spoken. Your story matters, and it's time for you to share it with the world. We're talking about dialogue. Share your story with at least one person today. Be brave and speak your truth. Your voice will be the catalyst for healing in others. I just spoke my truth. I just taught you my truth. And I just told you, when you start dialoguing with other people, and that's when I knew that I had to step down from all those roles and do something different, because my dialogue was not me. My dialogue was not coming from a place of healing and love. And it's because I wasn't in the right environment. And I was able to recognize that because I know me. I've already gone through the transformation. So I was like, okay, Stephanie, something is off. And it clicked. It's the environment. You need another environment. And as soon as I sent those emails, a weight that I could not explain lifted off of me. And honey, I have just been back to my jovial, loving, imparting knowledge, crazy, line dancing self. So you have to know yourself well enough to know how to get yourself out and how to get yourself back centered, back grounded, back connected with God, back connected with your community. That's what Trauma Free Society is for. Ah! So let me put up this other banner for those of you. Come on, join us. Sorry. I'm sorry. Come on, join us. I don't want you to take the quiz. I want you to join us come on, join me. Join me in the community. Let me turn this ticker off. Join us inside the community. Go to bit.ly/I'ma conquer her. Listen, I'm getting ready to start the first healing day, the 21-day healing sprint that's starting in December. We'll do a soft one inside of the community, and then I'll start, promoting it outward for January. But we're going to do 21-day sprints every month that are going to be focused on bite-sized healing around commands and around specific things that women of color are dealing with. I'm going to put up a poll so I can get a good base of what the community is dealing with. And we're going to tackle that thing one command at a time, one issue at a time, one limiting belief at a time. I am committed to sitting here teaching. I am committed to building a community, and I am committed to helping you heal yourself. Join us inside the community, and then join us next week. Same bat station, bat channel, 8:00. I'm trying to find my phone so I can turn this music back on. And I will see you guys next week. If you have any questions, you can follow me on all social media platforms. I am Dr. Stephanie Lynn, and I just stood Clubhouse back up because Clubhouse is where we're going to host the 21-day because it's easy. It's on the phone. Doesn't require Zoom. It doesn't require any of my other people to log in. So listen, we're about to get healed, and we're about to live our best life. I love you guys. Thank you for giving me 8 minutes over 8:30. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Remember, how you think, how you think comes out in how you speak, and how you speak, how you speak, and how you speak determines your destiny, right? Because it's a derivative of how you think. And so if your speech is off, that means your thoughts are off. We can do some thought work so that we can realign you towards your destiny. I hope this has helped you. Love you on today, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Angela. I'm glad this was really good. Oh, Tanya said authenticity requires confident courage. I love that. I'm convicted for not being like Nathan. Don't be convicted, Angela. Don't stay in that conviction. Next time you have the opportunity, say what God, truth, is telling you to say. If you love them, you'll tell them. But it's how you tell them. It's how you tell them. Can't accuse people and then want them to listen to you. All right? You got to come from a place of compassion. Be like Nathan. He found a funny story. He found a parable. Find a way to get it on in. Sometimes direct is too direct. You got to come around the mountain with some people so they can hear you and so they can hear what you're saying, so they can see their error. Because if people don't see their error, then it becomes nagging. Love y'all. See y'all inside the group. I'm a conqueror. Woo. I'm going to give you something to eat. I'm home.